Hi, this is Lightful, and I'm bringing you a tutorial about Arms Warrior PvE patch 4.3.4, which is the end patch for Cataclysm. On this video, I'm gonna go through the talent tree, glyphs, stats and forging, stance, and rotation, and at the end some useful add-ons you can use to maximize your gameplay. Okay, so let's start with the talent tree. Okay, for the Arms Warrior talents, there are some you can change, and some of the talents that are a must-have, required ones. So I'm going to go through each one. Okay, starting on a War Academy, 3 out of 3. It's very important. Has increased the damage of your Moral Strike and Slam by 15%. So the next one, it's Blitz. I chose Blitz because it's actually it's very situational. You can spend these 2 points elsewhere, like Rude Interruption, if you're gonna be interrupting constantly on a fight. Definitely take these 2 points from Blitz. The next one is Tactical Mastery. This is a must-have if you're gonna be stancing. So I'm going to go through a stance later, and then I'll explain why Tactical Mastery. Since I'm using it, that's why I have the 2 points on Tactical Mastery. Deep Wounds, must have. This is a very powerful bleed each time you crit with a melee attack. Taste for Blood. This increases your critical strike chance, so you're overpowered by a lot. And gives you 100% chance when you have Rend, which is another bleed on the target, to proc, so you can use your overpower constantly. This will happen in a 5-second window. It will proc every 5 seconds. Another must-have is Sweeping Strikes. This is an AoE cooldown. Another one requirement is Impaled, which increases the passive critical strike of your 3 main abilities. Improved Slam to reduce the swing time of Slam. Another DPS cooldown, Deadly Calm, which will allow you to spam all your main abilities without any rage cost. Blood Frenzy, this is very good and a must-have as well. When you have your bleed effects, like Rend and Deep Wounds, when you have those on the target, that target will take 4% more physical damage. So yeah. Besides that, your auto attacks, your white damage will have a 10% chance to generate 20 additional rage. So this is very good for some extra damage and also rage regen. Okay, so Lamps to the Slaughter. This is one of your most important talents. This will give you, each time you use Moral Strike, you will cause the slaughter effect. So this will stack up to 3 times, yeah. And each stack will increase your abilities, like Overpower, Slam, Execute, Moral Strike by 10%. So there will be a total of 30% increased damage with the 3 stacks. So this is very important to keep track of. So that's why your Moral Strike is one of your primary damage dealers, because it will refresh this. First, it will give you the stacks, and then it will refresh your slaughter effect. So it's very, very good, and it's a must-have. Juggernaut, it's a must-have as well. It makes your charge ability to be usable while in combat in all stances, and reduces the cooldown on charge as well. And when you charge, your next slam or mortal strike has an additional 25% chance to critically hit. It has a 10-second window where you can use either slam or mortal strike. So it's very, very good. Sudden death, it's a must-have as well. This will give you an extra 6% chance to reset the cooldown on your Colossus Smash. So Colossus Smash is very useful because it leaves a dot, a debuff on the target, which is which ignores a part of the target's armor. So since the cooldown on Colossus Smash is very big, this will help minimize that cooldown. Wrecking Crew, of course, 2 out of 2. Every time you crit with Mortal Strike, it will have a chance to. It will have actually it's a 100% chance to enrage you, and that enrage proc will increase your physical damage caused by 10%. I chose here Throwdown, but it's another situational talent. You can put it elsewhere. I gave you an example from Blitz to Rude Interruption. So if you're going to be using Rude Interruption, means you're going to be using interrupts a lot. So I would suggest you take this point and put it on Drums of War, which will decrease the rage cost of your pommel, which is your main interrupter, really. So on Arms 3, the final one is Blade Storm. Of course, it's your main AoE ability. It's very powerful. On the Fury tree, we have Battle Trance. Okay, this is a proc. Each time you use a Mortal Strike, you have a 15% chance to proc Battle Trance. Battle Trance will make your next special attack to cost no rage at all. Usually, you definitely want to track this proc, so you can use either Slam or Heroic Strike. I usually go for Heroic Strike. If I have the inside proc, I'll use Heroic Strike instead of Slam. If you don't have the inside proc, go for Slam, because crit on Slam hits higher, and it's rage free. Cruelty, must have. This is increase your passive critical strike on your Mortal Strike. And of course Executioner makes your execute to give you a buff that stacks up to 5 times, increasing on each stack, increasing your melee attack speed by 5. So total 25% increase melee attack. On your protraction tree, we're gonna go for Insight, of course, 3 out of 3. This is very good because when you have a critical strike with your heroic strike, you are guaranteed to have on your next heroic strike a critical. It's a guaranteed critical strike hit. So definitely get this one. So that's why I was saying, if you have a Battle Trance proc and you have an Insight proc ready to go, just use Insight instead. Heroic Strike, because it's a guaranteed crit. If not, just go for Slam. So this is basically the talent tree. Besides Blitz and Throwdown, everything is it's a must-have on this tree. And of course, Tactical Mastery. If you're not using stance, you don't need to take this, because you're not changing stances. So for the glyphs, on your prime glyphs, you're gonna get Moral Strike, which increases the damage by 10% on that ability. You're gonna get Overpower glyph, 10% more damage on Overpower, and Glyph of Slam. This will increase your critical strike chance by 5% on Slam. So there aren't many changes you can make on this on your prime. This is the best ones and the required ones. So for your major glyphs, I use glyph of Colossus Smash. This is very good when you don't have a Feral Druid casting Fairy Fire, or a rogue doing exposed armor, or a protection warrior doing Sunder armor. This glyph will allow you, each time you use Colossus Smash, to apply the Sunder armor effect on your target, so it's very helpful. I use glyph of Long Charge, but you can change this one. It's just situational. If you have to cover a lot of ground, this helps a lot, because it gives you more range on your charge, and you can use it along with your leap. So it's very good. But you can change it like to, let's see, you can change it like to Thunderclap if you have a lot of ads and you want to reduce their melee attack speed. You can go for this one. It will increase the radius by 2 yards. And so it's not bad. For the third one, I use Glyph of Sweeping Strikes. Yeah. It makes your Sweeping Strike ability to cost no rage at all. Sometimes it's very useful. But then again, you can change for another one. There's like Rapid Charge. It will decrease the cooldown of your charge ability by 1 second. It's not that good as Sweeping Strikes, but I would go for Sweeping Strikes. Yeah. For your minor glyphs, this is a very good one and a must-have in my opinion. Glyph of Berserker Rage will give your Berserker Rage ability to generate 5 rage when used. So the problem here is people often forget to use this ability, Berserker Rage. So what I do so I don't forget to use this ability is I macro my Mortal Strike and bind this Berserker Rage ability to it. So when you use Mortal Strike and Berserker Rage is out of cooldown, he will use Berserker Rage as well. The good thing about Berserker Rage is it doesn't share a global cooldown, so it won't interfere with your rotation, and it will not impair you of using any major ability. So it's very good, and I think it's a must-have. Of course, Glyph of Battle, you're gonna be spamming this a lot during the fights. So this will increase the timer on your battle shot. This is I use a Glyph of Intimidating Shot, but it's not required. I just use it because since I was doing Spine of Deathwing, and I want to CC the Corrupted Blood, so I use Intimidating Shout to do it on cooldown. But I don't want the Corrupted Bloods to be all scattered along the platform. So this will make your the ads to be feared, but while standing in one place. So this is very useful to have. But you can change this, for example, to Demoralizing Shout. It helps a lot. You can choose another one like having Commanding Shout, but it's very situational. So I think this covers the glyph part. I'm gonna go for the stats. Okay, for the stats, every piece of gear you're gonna get, it's gonna have strength and stamina, of course, for you. These are your core stats, but the interesting stats are the rating stats. Okay, so for your rating stats, the priority order is gonna be hit till capped, which in Molten is 5%. I tried with 4%, but you start missing a lot. And after that you're gonna go for expertise cap, which in Molten is around 20, but I find 19 to be more than enough. You guys can try 20 if you don't feel like it's working for you. But yeah, definitely first hit, then expertise, and then critical strike. You want as much crit as you can get. So why? Because all of our tree depends on crit. Because crit gives you procs, gives you more DPS. So I can give you some examples, like deep wounds, which is a powerful bleed, and only procs when you have critical strike. So definitely critical works for this talent. As well, you have impale, which will increase your critical strike chance on your 3 main abilities by 20%. So this is like a core stat and a passive increase on those abilities. You have Wrecking Crew. When you crit with Moral Strike, you have a chance, 100% chance to get enraged and increase your physical damage cause by 10%. So another good example why crit is your best friend. This is cruelty is another example of the passive critical strike increase for Mortal Strike in this case. And of course, yeah, insight depends as well on more crit. So as you can see, critical strike works just it's just yummy for Arms Warrior. So get as much crit as you can. Next on the priority list comes Mastery. So our Mastery is very cool. It's called Strikes of Opportunity, and the more Mastery you have, the more chance you have to proc an additional melee attack. So it's like a double hit, and this second hit that comes from Strikes of Opportunity will have 100% normal damage from the previous attack that procced it. So definitely go for Mastery. For reforging, it's pretty easy. Like for example, this piece of gear has passive ace and passive crit. Definitely want to keep the crit, of course. Do not reforge it, never. But you're gonna reforge that ace into Mastery. So it has crit, yes. It has Mastery, no. So it has ace, yes. So reforge the ace to Mastery. Of course, you have to be hit capped and expertise capped first. Don't forget about it. So reforging gets pretty easy because if it doesn't have crit, reforge into crit. If it does have crit, but it doesn't have Mastery, reforge into Mastery. So it's pretty straightforward. And this covers the stats and the reforging. So next thing will be stance. I'm going to explain. I'm not going to give all the macros. I'm going to put a link in the description of the video where you can go copy all the macros. So I'm not going to show you all the macros. I'm just going to give you an example and tell you what is stance and how it works, why use it, etc. So the concept of stance is using your abilities, your main abilities like Mortal Strike, Overpower, Slam, Colossus Smash, Heroic Strike, Execute, Cleave, Rend, Charge, Blade Storm, Shattering Throw, etc. To be macroed and binded to a certain stance. So, for example, your Rend, your Charge, and your Overpower can only work on battle stance, which means it can only be used when you're on battle stance. So these three abilities will be macroed into a battle stance macro. So I'm just gonna open my macro box. So here you can see, for example, rend. Rend, it's macro as follows. He's gonna cast a battle stance. If you are in battle stance already, it does nothing. You're gonna cast rend. But if you are on berserker stance, when you press the macro, it will automatically change you to battle stance. So first of all, you wanna get charge, rend, and overpower to be macroed to battle stance, because they only work on battle stance. After that, all of your other abilities like Moral Strike, Slam, Colossus Smash, Heroic Strike, Execute, Cleave, Blade Storm are going to be macroed into Berserker Stance, because Berserker Stance gives you a boost on your damage, on your DPS. So you want to hit with these abilities on your stance that makes more damage, so which is Berserker Stance. So you're gonna do the same thing for all these abilities, but binding them to Berserker Stance. So when I press my Moral Strike, for example, and I'm on Battle Stance right now, it will automatically change me to Berserker Stance. If I press Rend, it will go back to battle. Okay, so this is what is stance dance all about. It's automatically changing stances. Of course, you couldn't do it manually, because you would lose a lot of time changing manually the stances. So another thing you want to do is, since each stance has its own action bar at the end, as you can see, you wanna put all the abilities in the same order as you put on battle stance and on berserker stance. As you see, when I change between battle and berserk, it has the same abilities on the action bar. So this is a must-have, because imagine if you're on a battle stance and you use overpower on battle stance, and then you're gonna press the 1 for Moral Strike, and when it changes to Berserk, it's not the Mortal Strike is not on 1, but it's on 2, so it's gonna confuse you a lot. So just make sure it's on the same order. All the abilities are in the same order. So this is basically the battle stance dancing. Another important thing to say about stance dance is, if you have any lag issues, or if the server is lagging a lot, I recommend not using it, because it will only decrease your DPS instead of increasing it. So and another thing important is, you're gonna have to spam a lot more. Like, when I mean spam is, you're gonna have to hit a lot more times, like click a lot to change and to hit. But most of the people are spammers anyway, so that won't be a problem, I guess. So this covers the stance dance. I'm just gonna go through to the rotation. We have three main rotations, which are you have an opener rotation. An opener means when you engage a boss in a raid, you have an opener. What abilities to use during when you charge the boss, etc. You have a constant rotation, which will be included after your opener, which is a steady rotation, which means some abilities have priority towards another. And of course, you have the execute phase, which is your third but small rotation to maximize that execute phase. And of course we have kind of AoE rotation. It's not really a rotation, but I'll explain how to AoE anyway. So for the opener, you wanna start by pre-potting if you have Golem Blood potion. Before you get in combat, you pre-pot. You use your battle shout, and you're gonna charge.
I need to get closer.
You're gonna charge, and you're gonna rend, and then you're gonna use your Mortal Strike, and then you're gonna use your Colossus Smash to get that debuff going, and you're gonna use your Overpower, and then you're gonna use your Mortal Strike again, and then again. And when you have three stacks of Slaughter, it's time to use your burst macros. So I have two burst macros, two different ones, because in one I have Deadly Calm, and I have my Engineering Glove Enchant, Synapse Springs, which gives me 480 strength. So I use that for when I have the 3 stacks of Slaughter, which increases by all abilities by 30%. So I use that macro, and I start doing the normal rotation. But with Deadly Calm, you're gonna include a lot of heroic strikes and slams because they cost 0 during Deadly Calm. And after Deadly Calm is over, I'll use my second macro, which includes Recklessness, my unused trinket, strength trinket, and of course your pot will be ready again. So I use Recklessness, trinket on use, and pot. So this is when you're gonna do a lot of DPS. So this is your opener, okay? The first thing you need to do is pre-pot, battle shout, charge, rend, use your Mortal Strike because you're gonna be benefiting from Juggernaut, which gives you a 25% more crit on a Mortal Strike. And then you're gonna go follow the priority. Set your debuff from Colossus Smash, get your Overpower proc, and after that is just going for Mortal Strike first till you get 3 stacks of Slaughter. When you have the 3 stacks of Slaughter, you're gonna go for your first burst macro, and then when it's over, you're gonna go for the second. After this is your opener. When your opener finishes, it's just a priority. The priority is use your Mortal Strike when it's off CD. It's a must because it refreshes your Slaughter and gives you an enrage proc. Also and also refreshes your rend. Of course, use Overpower when it procs. Use your Colossus Smash off cooldown, always. Try to maximize this debuff on the target because it will increase your DPS on the target by a lot. And of course you have Slam and Heroic Strike for the fillers. So you can use Slam crits very high, but it has a swing time. So you need to check your rage. So if you have a Battle Trance proc, and you have Insight, as I said, go for Heroic Strike because it's a guaranteed critical strike. If not, just use Slam. Yeah. You can use Slam to fill in between when you don't have the proc on Overpower and Mortal Strike isn't ready and your debuff is on, just go for Slam. But if you have extra rage, always dump it on Heroic Strike. So that's your constant priority for the rotation after the opener. On the execute phase, it's very simple. You want to keep your 3 stacks of Slaughter on all the time. You want to maximize your debuff from Colossus Smash on the target, and you're gonna be filling everything else with execute in between. just don't let the slaughter effect fall. The three stacks, yeah, because they also include execute for the 30% more damage. So just keep spamming execute. When slaughter is about to fall off, just refresh it with mortal strike. When you have the Colossus smash up, just use it, and then keep spamming execute. That's your finish rotation, your execute phase rotation. So I think this. Oh, for the AoE abilities, it's not that big a deal. You have sweeping strikes. Sweeping strikes will allow you to DPS an extra target. Each any ability you use will strike an additional target. So I can show you.
That ability isn't ready yet.
If you use it and use this, see, it's hitting the other dummy. So yeah, it's very good for 2 targets, but it's also very good to use it when you have several targets and you're gonna start using Bladestorm. Just use sweeping strikes first. Yeah, it will hit a lot. So this is basically your AoE. When these are on cooldown, you have cleave, of course. Yeah. So this is your AoE abilities. It doesn't have a rotation, a proper rotation. It's just used when needed. And I think this will cover it. I'll put some links to some useful add-ons like power auras to keep track of your procs and debuffs and buffs. Like for example, battle trance, rand, when the battle shout is off cooldown, the debuff from Colossus Smash, inside. Inner Rage, which is very useful when you have the 4P from tier 13, and Lamps to the Slaughter. It tells me how much stacks do I have at a moment, and of course you can use it to like for bosses, like for debuffs. For example, this is Fading Light from Ultraxia. Tells me when I have it and gives me a timer, so I know when to click the button, the extra button. Also, this one is for Ragnaros HC. It's the Blazing Heat from the Lava Science, and of course there's a lot of you can use. You can use it for anything you want. It's pretty easy to use, and I'll leave the link on the description, along with the tutorial videos to learn how to use it. Okay, so I hope you guys like this tutorial, and I hope it's useful for you guys that are having some troubles with Arms Warrior, and mainly for the people who start playing Arms Warrior, and I see those people, and I see their recounts, and I see slam on top of all abilities. So this is mainly for that people, so they can stop slam spam. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy. Cheers.